Welcome to Liddypod, Beatles banter with Bedford and Beesley.
Dave, here we are at another Liddypod. Inevitably, we've just had breakfast, and what a breakfast that was.
That was absolutely exceptional. Really enjoyed that. I don't know why, but I woke up so hungry this morning.
Yeah.
And I thought, it's going to be the full English.
Well, I woke up this morning thinking, no, I've got to be good here. So let's have something, light. And I saw full English on the 2 sausages, black pudding. I just went for it, and I cleared the plate. I didn't quite lick the plate, but I cleared the plate. So yeah, it was fabulous. Dave, tell listeners where we are today. A very special place.
Yeah, it's the Sefton Park Hotel. Now, Sefton Park's one of our biggest public parks here in Liverpool. We're by the boating lake, where John Lennon's mum and dad met.
That's right. There. Famously, let's we go and look for a hat.
Yeah, because if you haven't heard that story, it's a cracking little story. Which is a 14-year-old Julia, this gorgeous red-headed lady, sat by the lake, and John's dad, Alf or Freddie, spots her, goes over and talks to her. Now, he was only little, because he'd had rickets when he was a kid. So to make himself look taller and more impressive, he wore a bowler hat. Now, can you imagine at 15 deciding you're going to wear a bowler hat?
Yeah, you're going to stick out, aren't you? I mean, okay, different days, but at 15 years of age, you're probably not, are you? You might have a flat cap on.
Yeah, ecky thump. Yeah, so he goes to impress her and starts talking to Julia, who starts laughing at him. What are you laughing at? Your silly hat. So he takes it off his head and throws it into the lake. And the rebellious nature within Julia thought, that's fantastic. And
is it still there? Bit like the Loch Ness Monster.
Freddie's Bowler.
Freddie's Bowler Monster. Is it still in the lake?
Is that a new 6-part documentary series, The Search for Freddie's Hat?
Anyway, listen, we've told people where we are, but we've not just come here just because it's a lovely hotel and it's a lovely breakfast. It's very, very significant in the story of the Beatles.
It is, because this was once the home of Stuart Sutcliffe and his family.
Wow.
And they lived in various parts. So they lived, Stuart, obviously born in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Grew up in the Highton area of Liverpool, which is where I'm now living, round the corner from where Stuart grew up. And then his family all then decided to move into the city. So they lived in Ullet Road for a time, the other side of Sefton Park, and then moved over here in 1961. So this was, it was flat number 1. And yeah, what a great place. There's a lovely plaque on the outside to recognise that.
If you come to Liverpool, and I mean, there's a couple of places you might want to stay if you're a massive Beatles fan. This is definitely top of the list.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you've got the Hard Day's Night Hotel, which is a lovely hotel, Beatles themed, but this is a place of real Beatles history. Yeah. And the great thing about it is that they've really acknowledged that as well. Sometimes you get places, don't you, where somebody lived or stayed or visitors, and they sort of play it down. Here, they've quite rightly acknowledged the fact that Stuart lived here, his family lived here. So, it is a great place to stay if you're a Beatles fan, and it's such an amazing location. We're looking out of the window here, Dave. We can see the lake. Sefton Park, one of the largest municipal parks in the whole country, and it's fabulous. And you're only across the other side of the park's Penny Lane. It's really, really close. So if you do come to Liverpool, if you're a Beatle fan, and you don't want to stay in the hustle and the bustle of the city centre, this is definitely the place to stay. It's got its own parking, but it's got the great Stuart Sutcliffe history to it as well.
It has, and a lot of credit to my friend Chris Labour, musician, now resident down in LA. And he and I have worked on stuff to do with this place and with Stuart for many years. And he's managed to put together an exhibition. And it starts here in the dining room. They've got photos up of Stuart in Hamburg, some of his story. But then you go all the way up the stairs and there's photographs, there's copies of letters, there's some of his artwork, and it all tells Stuart's story. And again, if you're on a tour, I bring people now when we're doing like the all-day tours. We stop off here, and then go for a walk up the stairs, and it's fabulous to have somewhere dedicated to Stuart and to his memory and his very important part in the story of the Beatles.
Absolutely, and an intriguing part, not just part of the Beatles, but his story itself. What a talented artist he was, and what a sad young age he died as well. So yeah, we say thank you to the Sefton Park Hotel for letting us to talk nonsense for a little while in their dining room after a lovely breakfast. But Dave, there is so much to talk about today.
There's so much. I mean, we can talk about what if.
Yeah.
Okay, what if Stuart isn't in the Beatles? And people think, oh, well, he was a crappy bassist. No, Stuart became a really good rock and roll bass player. And I have that from people who played with him. From Pete Best, and of course, did the rhythm section. Howie Casey, one Liverpool musician, Derry and the Seniors, he played out there and said, no, Stuart was a good rock and roll bass player. So let's deal with that myth. And we were talking before over breakfast, weren't we? How many Beatles myths do we get to deal with on every tour?
Well, yes, this is it, because I suppose it's like anything really, but we've all heard those sort of myths about this, that and the other.
Yeah.
That somebody has told somebody and somebody's told somebody else.
Exactly.
Somebody might have written it down, somebody might have published it,
yeah.
and then these myths become reality.
Yeah.
And myth becomes fact.
Yeah.
And the good thing and the sad thing is, Dave, that we're getting to that point now in time when the people who were there at the time are getting fewer and fewer to speak to. Fortunately, we've got some of those people still here in Liverpool, the likes of Frida Kelly and Colin Hanson and people like that. Yeah. But those people are getting fewer and fewer.
Yeah.
And, as time goes on, those myths, if not dispelled, will become the fact of 100 years' time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and there's probably not a lot you can do about that, but you're right, it is interesting, the people we speak to and the stories we get, and then how you have to sort of, firmly but politely correct the story as to what,
and say that this is what really happened. And Stuart's influence was big, because you think, well, the Beatles' name, as Bill Harry witnessed, it was Stuart who suggested the Beatles. And it's funny, I was reading an interview with Paul recently, and he was talking about how they got the name, and said they loved Buddy Holly and the crickets, and he said one of the things they loved was that the crickets meant two things. So it meant the insect and the game.
And the game,
So they thought, well, it's great. So if we're Beatles, it's like the insect, but also doing beat music.
Yeah. And
many years ago, after the Beatles had finished, Paul was talking to one of the crickets, and he was telling them the story. He thought, no, that's what we loved. And they had the two meanings. He said, what do you mean, two meanings? So, the insects and the game of cricket. What's the game of cricket?
Yeah, they wouldn't have known,
no,
obviously.
Exactly. They were giving them credit for having the two meanings to the name, so that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't have had the Beatles name down to Stuart. But then, think of him bringing in those three German friends, Astrid, Klaus and Jürgen. They stayed there because of Stuart.
Yes. Yeah.
So then we get those amazing photos that Astrid took.
Yeah.
So she could spend time with Stuart. You wouldn't have that.
Yeah. They would. Those connections wouldn't have been made, would they? Because they came from that sort of the Exy world, in Hamburg, which probably the other lads wouldn't have got involved with. Stuart who'd done that.
And Stuart's the first to have the haircut.
Yeah.
Because that was the French style that Jürgen Vollmer had.
Yeah. Yeah.
And eventually, when John and Paul go to Paris and meet up with Jürgen, he cuts their hair in that same style. When Stuart first had it done, they took the mickey out of him, something wrong.
Now, you can imagine, can't you?
Lennon,
these Scouse lads going, what have you done? Look at the state of you.
And even the collarless jacket.
Yeah.
Again, that was a collaboration with Stuart and Astrid.
Yeah.
And when he first wore that, was it John say something? I got your mum's clothes on again or something like that. So actually, some really significant parts of the story.
Yeah, connected to Stuart. Yeah,
credit to Stuart.
Yeah, it is. And it's only when you look at it, because on the face of it, people would go, oh, he played bass with them for a while, left them, sadly died, and that was it really. But you're right. You're right.
Big impact.
So many connections, so much impact. Yeah. Brilliant.
So it's nice that the story gets told here. Yeah. And so it's a great place to come.
It is,
just to
without a doubt. Yeah. Even if you're not, you're not brought here, but you're around the area. Do pop in. They're a very welcoming bunch of people here at the Sefton Park Hotel, and they'll let you have a look around. Yeah, really good.
It's a lovely place, but so much going on as ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
we meet once a month to catch up on stuff, and like the world's changed.
So much has happened in that time. It really, really has. In the period since we last met, I think it is the period since we last met, we had an opening of a new rose garden at Strawberry Fields.
Yeah, that was great, wasn't it?
The Sir George and Lady Judy Martin Rose Garden, which was opened officially by Giles and his sister. And Dave, you were there on the day, weren't you?
Yep.
It was a great day. It was a lovely sunny day as well.
Oh, it's a gorgeous sunny day. And it's nice to have the unveiling. Lady Anne Dodd.
Yes, Lady Anne Dodd, yeah.
If you don't know who Ken Dodd was, find out about him. The funniest man who ever lived. Liverpool comedian. She was there. And it was just beautiful, this new section at Strawberry Field. So when you go around the grounds, you can see this lovely brick wall there with a little fountain and a rose garden. And it's a lovely thing, because now it's the first and only permanent tribute to George Martin and his wife, Judy, which is crazy. You can think how important that man was. Yeah,
I mean, important in the story of the Beatles, but important in the story of music.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Generally, it's so important, and bizarre to think that there's not been something like this before. But it's significant within. If you've been to Strawberry Field before, but before this opened, it is a significant addition to the. You know, it's a specific section of the gardens. There's a lovely little water feature there. Giles and his sister planted a rose while they were there. They've got the songs up that George Martin produced, songs that went to #1.
Yeah.
Not all of which are Beatles. You know, there's other songs in there as well. So it is really, really lovely. And it was a lovely day as well. You know, everyone was there. Mike McCartney was there. Frida was there. Judd Lander was there. So it was a great day. It was a lovely sunny day. It was a very Salvation Army day, which was great. It was really, really lovely. And if you haven't been to Strawberry Field, or you've been but before the Rose Garden opened, you must go back. But fortunately, Dave, I caught up with Giles Martin while we were there, and this is what he said to me.
My mum had this idea about building a rose garden, and that sort of blossom like a rose garden does, it being a memorial for my father, the only one in the world. But it's this place, Strawberry Fields, which has become this place of deep nurturing for people that need help to get through life. And that's what we do with gardening. That's what we do. You need to nurture and prune and love something, and it blossoms. And that's what Strawberry Field does here. This place is, people should come down and donate to this charity, because it's just pure goodness what happens here. And it's such an honour for us as families to see my dad's memorial here as well.
So there we go. That was Giles Martin chatting to me at Strawberry Field on the opening of the Sir George and Lady Judy Martin Rose Garden, which a good time was had by all, Dave.
It was. Fun in the sun.
Yeah, it was great.
Not as much to eat as here for them. I should complain about that. We want a breakfast.
You're listening to Liddypod, Beatles banter with Bedford and Beesley.
Okay, Dave, we are recording this really in the last few days of July. It's going to be August on Saturday, and August always means International Beatleweek.
Yeah.
Always held from the Wednesday to the Wednesday over the last weekend in August, which for UK listeners they will know is the bank holiday, the August bank holiday period. Dave, it's been running for a long time. Even, well, you know, the original Beatles convention goes right back. The original one goes back to the 70s, doesn't it? You know, but then the County Council took it over in the 80s, and then Cavern City Tours, who were the owners of the Cavern Pub, the Cavern Restaurants, and the Magical Mystery Tour. They own and operate very successfully International Beatleweek, and it's shaping up to be another good one.
Oh, it's incredible. I was only talking with John Keats the other day. You know, that when one finishes, they have a few weeks off, and then by the end of September, they're already planning for next year's. The amount of work that goes into this, because they're welcoming people from all over the world. There's got a tribute bands from all over the world as well, and there's so much going on, and they manage every year to find something slightly different. I mean, obviously there's lots of anniversaries, but they managed to come up with different things for people to do when they're here. So there's loads of people will travel from all around the world and will come every year. It's a big thing. You think, wow, and Liverpool just gets taken over.
It is a spectacularly wonderful period in the year, isn't it? Really?
Incredible.
And, you see John Lennon lookalikes and Ringo lookalikes and things like that. But I just think the sheer happiness of it all. And as you say, there's people come back year after year after year.
Yeah.
So they've seen Liverpool, they've seen every single Beatle location in the city, but they just want to come back because they just love that period in the city when there's this buzz and this excitement about what Liverpool is known for. And I mean, I've never been involved in it, but it must be a mammoth task for Cavern City Tours when you think of the sheer number of overseas bands.
Yeah.
That need to get into the country, get out of the country, play, be accommodated, have venues sorted. It is just, it's a 3D chess game, isn't it?
It's absolutely incredible. Yeah. They do a wonderful job, and it's so much credit to the guys at Cavern City Tours for what they've given to this city.
Yeah. The people, you don't hear it very often now, but you used to hear, what have the Beatles ever done for Liverpool?
Yeah.
And we see what they have done for Liverpool and what they are doing every single day. But it's encapsulated in that 7-day period, isn't it? When there's so much happening, there's so much focus on the Beatles, there's great joy and happiness in the city as well.
Yeah.
And the guys and girls at Cavern City Tours never fail to come up with a slightly new angle. The one thing they never do is just use last year's template for this year. They always look for new angles and new little things along the way. And it's just fabulous. Yeah. And people who have been coming to it, the Charles Rosenay, we must give Charles a mention from the United States, who has been bringing groups from the States every year, probably apart from the COVID year, to the International Beatleweek. And brings them in numbers and has a great time. You're doing something with him this year, aren't you?
Yeah. So we've got looking after his group, doing an all-day tour with him on the Tuesday. I mentioned my other friend Ricardo, who's been bringing groups from Mexico for over 30 years as well. So the two of them have done so much for bringing overseas visitors to Liverpool. And I think particularly when you think of those who do come from Mexico and South America, the Beatles never played there.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we know they were massive in the US and they toured there, but they never played in Mexico and in South America. Yeah. And yet, the numbers of fans who travel from there is incredible.
It is incredible. And obviously, it goes without saying now, the number of fans that are coming over who are of the age that they would, the Beatles had split up by the time they were born.
Yes.
So, but that's the impact of their music, because we're not talking about, groups who tour today tour literally all over the world because, transportation is so much easier and everything else. But you're right, there were certain countries and certain continents where the Beatles never played, but there are still musicians there. I'll never forget the day, slightly off the subject here, I was on a Caribbean cruise and we landed at, I can't even remember which island it was, but we were on the small Caribbean islands and we got off the boat and I could hear these kettle drums being played.
Yeah.
And we walked up to them and they were school kids, probably about 13, 14, playing Obla-Dee Obla-Da in the middle of the Caribbean on kettle drums. And it was like, well, there we go. That says it all, doesn't it, really?
It does.
That says it all.
I suppose one of the reasons that they got the popularity there is because of Paul being on tour. And he's toured consistently, going to places like South America.
Yeah.
And he's sort of perpetuating that legacy of the Beatles indirectly.
Yeah.
And people are learning the Beatles songs.
Yeah, it is incredible.
Because of him.
Yeah.
Still touring, which is amazing.
So, International Beatleweek coming up. We won't be able to report on the next Liddypod because the next Liddypod is actually we're going to do in a couple of weeks' time, aren't we?
Oh, yeah.
We'll let you know at the end of this Liddypod where we're going to be
in
a couple of weeks' time. On the 18th of August. We put the date in the diary, that's where we're going to be.
Yeah.
We'll tell you where in a moment. So that's International Beatleweek. We'll tell you more about that when we get together in September, October time and tell you how the whole thing has gone. But Dave, you just mentioned Paul there at the very end.
Yes.
Paul has been in town.
And suddenly it made worldwide news. It was fantastic. The Magical Mystery Tour.
The chances of this happening.
I know.
There's more chance of, 14 million to 1
to win the lottery.
It's way beyond that, the chances of this happening. Tell people what happened, Dave.
So the Magical Mystery Tour is going through town. and they're in traffic, and they look over, and there's this lovely posh car with the window wound down, and there's Paul McCartney waving at everyone on the bus, but not just Paul waving on the bus. He then shows everybody his phone, and he's currently on the phone, and you can see he's talking to Ringo.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And it's just phenomenal.
If you set that up, it probably wouldn't have worked.
No, exactly.
If you'd set it up, it probably wouldn't have worked. The amount of times that Medical Mystery Tour bus, because I've guided on that before.
Yeah.
That section, Hope Street it was, between the two cathedrals.
Yeah.
The amount of times we've just whizzed along there, traffic lights being on green, and we've gone.
You whizzed down, yeah.
On this day, they were stopped
Yeah.
by the traffic lights exactly opposite to this car with Paul McCartney in, waving at you, speaking to Ringo on the phone. It is the chances are unbelievable. But what happened then? Because I saw the photos on the WhatsApp group for the tour. I immediately said to the guys, because as listeners may know, I also work for the local BBC radio station. So I said, "Can I use these photos?" They said yes. I told our newsroom. They got it up first, and then from there it was like a snowball going off the top of a mountain. It was just gathered pace. And literally, I mean, I got messages from people in the States going,
I did.
I've just seen this on the news. I've just seen this on NBC and things like that. It's gone viral isn't even the right word. It has gone interstellar, this story.
Interstellar McCartney.
Interstellar McCartney, well done. And I think it's because, not just because Paul was seen in Liverpool, it's the serendipity of what happened was the unbelievable factor.
And him showing Ringo's face.
Going, look, you must have gone, Ringo, look who lost my big. It turns it around so Ringo can see the bus, and everybody's waving to Ringo. And unfortunately, there was a passenger on the bus who had a good camera and got a really good shot, and then gave permission for the photo to be used. Because this photo is just unbelievable.
It's fabulous.
It is incredible.
And of course, the reason Paul was in Liverpool?
It was the graduation ceremony for the Liverpool Institute for Performing Arts, which he helped to create, 30 years ago now, because we know it was 30 years ago. They've just had their 30th anniversary. He, every single year, personally presents the degrees to the graduating students. Whatever's in his diary, it doesn't matter. He comes back to Liverpool for this event every single year. And it must be a great event for people to go to, because you get to meet Paul, and the families get to meet him afterwards and things like that. But that's why he was in town. And this was the day before the events on the following day. But that's why he was here. And it was a great event. And then, Dave, if I can just tell you this story, the following day, the event was taking place in the convention centre part of the arena. And I was due to do a tour with mainly Americans, some Canadians and Australians there as well, from the Pullman Hotel, which is the hotel right by the arena and convention centre. So when I got down there, and I was running a bit late, but I was in time, and I got down there, it was just about 10 to 4, and I saw a load of people waiting at what is the back door of the convention centre. So the girl who'd give me a lift, a girl called Emily, who I work with, said, "Oh, what's that?" And I said, "Oh, of course, it's Lippy's graduation. They'll be waiting for McCartney." And she was like, "Wow, really?" Because her dad's Colin. I give Colin a mention. Colin Thorbenson. He's a massive Beatles fan. So she jokingly said to me, "Get me dad an autograph." No problem, Emily. I'm sure I can sort that out. Yeah. So anyway, she dropped me off. I went to the coach driver, who was also a big Beatle fan. His name's Gary. And a Scottish guy, he's a massive Beatles fan, seen McCartney loads of times, so he was ecstatic. He was waiting by the people, and there weren't that many people there. There was probably, I would say there's about 40 people, that's all. It wasn't that many people. So I walked over to the tour director and said, "Hi there, what do you want to do? I'm happy to wait," because all the passengers were over by. So I said, "Look, I'm happy to wait, but equally, if you want to start the tour, we'll go. You know, it's up to you." So we said, "Okay, well, we'll hang on a bit longer." So we hung on, and we chatted to people around about, and there was no sign of anything happening, you know. But in my head, I thought to myself, okay, I saw that photograph yesterday. He was sitting on the right-hand side of the car behind the driver. So, calculated guess, that's where they'll be this time. So I walked over to that side so I would see him. So anyway, it got to about... We were supposed to start the tour at 4 o'clock. Got to about 10 to 5.
Wow.
And the tour director said, "Look, we've just got to go. You know, we've got to do this tour." You know, so he got everyone on the coach. And I jumped on the coach, and people were saying, "Oh, why is he here?" So I started to tell people why he's here. And the driver pulls away. He must have driven no more than 2 meters, about 6 foot, and he slammed the brakes on. I thought he'd hit something. It was that hard, and I just heard him shout, "The doors are opening!" So the whole coach ran towards the exit. I went to where I thought, no, this is the best side to see him. And we were literally there for about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Sure enough, the car pulls out nice and slowly, window down, waving at people. And fortunately, and where I was the only person there. Because people said, God, he's looking straight at you. And I said, well, I was the only person there. He had nobody else to look at, really. So I just got this photograph of him waving, going out. And then he drove off, and I understand he went to the airport and flew off somewhere. But you can imagine the passengers on the coach.
Wow.
They'd signed up for a City and Beatles tour, and they got to see Paul McCartney. What are the chances of that? You know, they were probably WhatsApping all their families back home, so you never guess what's just happened.
Yeah.
So this is the great thing about him being in town, isn't it? Because people have these random encounters with him. I mean, it's no secret of the fact that he has a house on the Wirral, house he bought in '64 for his dad and brother, and he still owns and uses. And I've got friends over there who've just met him, just casually walking around and you know, going for a little hillside walk and things like that, you know. So I think that's the excitement of McCartney being in town, that he brings with him this buzz, and being the type of person he is, he doesn't, you know, he could have easily driven quickly out of that place, windows up, all blacked out, nobody even knew whether he was in the car, but you know, he chose not to.
Not him.
That's not him at all.
No.
So it was great. A couple of great days in the city, more excitement.
And it's one of those things that I know, you know, when you're doing your tour, and we're down by the suitcases by Lipper and the Art College, and I tell people that Paul is here every year at graduation. They say, really? No, honestly, Paul hasn't just thought, well, it's a bit of a tax write-off. I'll put some money into this and clear off.
Yeah.
He is so heavily involved in the running of Lipper, doing masterclasses.
Yeah.
I was speaking to a guy who graduated last year, who was studying songwriting. He had a 20-minute one-on-one with Paul, where he had to perform his own song to Paul.
Can you imagine?
And then they sat down and went through the lyrics. And Paul was saying, I like that. That's good. Maybe if you change that to that. You know, this lad said, well, of course, Paul's right. You know, the greatest songwriters ever. And he said, just to have that one-on-one for 20 minutes with Paul. And he said, and then when it came to graduation, his name gets called, he walks across the stage and Paul says, you're the great lyricist.
Can you imagine?
He said, please tell me everybody
Can
heard
you
that.
imagine Paul McCartney saying to you, you're the great lyricist? Yeah.
But he remembered.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and they're the things which, if he hadn't told me that, nobody would know.
No, nobody would have known that, no.
Paul doesn't publicise.
Yeah, because what goes on inside Lipper, generally speaking, we don't really get to know an awful lot about, because they don't make a big song and dance about it. You know, he does what he does because he does it for the students. And unless you know a student who's experienced that, then you're never going to know. And Lipper has produced amazing people
incredible.
Over the years. I mean, the presidents of the BAFTAs is a Lipper graduate and a Scouser, you know.
There you go.
The Wombats met at Lipper, you know. There's so many people, and not just the high-profile people, but people working within the entertainment industry who were graduates of Lipper. Yeah. It's a phenomenal place, and good on Paul McCartney, but a lot of people left Liverpool very happy.
They certainly
last
did.
week.
I mean, the thing is, you're starting your tour. How do you follow that for the rest of the tour?
Exactly.
Well done, Paul. Thank you so much. You're a top man.
This is Liddypod, Beatles banter with Bedford and Beesley.
And Dave, since we last met, we've had a sad passing as well.
Yeah, it's a wonderful guy known to everybody in the Beatles world in Liverpool, Jerry Goldman.
Yeah.
Did so much for Liverpool, really, heavily involved in making the Beatles story what it is today. And of course, when Salvation Army were opening Strawberry Field, then they went, we know the man with the right experience. And Jerry put a lot of time and effort into making Strawberry Field what it is as well. And a lovely man.
Yeah.
Quietly went about doing his business.
He was a very quiet man, wasn't he? You know, he wasn't Liverpool born. He was from London.
Yep.
But he integrated into the city so well. On the occasions you would speak to him, he was funny, he was humorous, but he was very quiet as well.
Yeah.
Very quiet. Yeah, incredibly sort of quiet, but firm guy. Knew what he wanted and did wonders at Beatles Story.
Yeah. Yeah, he's contributed so much to Liverpool, so we owe him a debt of thanks.
Yeah.
And he was never one for telling people he was ill. You could sort of guess something wasn't right because he wasn't at the Strawberry Field garden opening, because he would normally have been there.
He would have been there, yeah.
But yeah, fondly remembered by anybody who ever come into any contact with Jerry for so much that he's contributed to our city.
Absolutely.
So,
Jerry Goldman, very sad.
Good man.
You're listening to Liddypod, Beatles banter with Bedford and Beesley.
So we've got an anniversary, 60th anniversary of Revolver.
Of course, yeah.
And you think of 1966, what a tumultuous year it was for the Beatles. You've got John's More Popular Than Jesus.
Yeah.
Stuff which didn't raise an eyebrow in here when it came out in Maureen Cleave's interview. And then suddenly gets blown out of proportion in the States, and there's record burning, death threats, all kinds of stuff. So that last tour they did, so he had all of that. John had to make his numerous apologies, and then touring to go to the Budokan in Japan. There were protests there. Then Manila in the Philippines.
With the president's wife.
So lucky to escape without Imelda throwing some of the thousands of pairs of shoes at them. And Neil and Mal being held back. I'm not sure if they were going to get on the plane or not. So they get out of there. And then it must have just reinforced their decision to stop touring.
It must have done, because they must have been thinking, you think about the modern age with, press and PR and everything else, and everything's controlled so tightly by PR companies these days, isn't it? And in those days, you had maybe the beginnings of it, but you didn't have what you have today. And you certainly didn't have the exposure of, Instagram and social media and things like that. But they must have been thinking at that stage, this is just getting ridiculous now. It doesn't matter what we do or what we say, someone will find fault in it.
Yeah. And also with the anniversary of Revolver coming out, which was such an incredible record. I mean, do you think it's only 3 years since Please Please Me, their first album, has come out with a number of covers on there. And they're really at the basics of rock and roll, R&B and stuff. How do you go from Love Me Do to Tomorrow Never Knows?
In 3 years.
It's just, it's incredible, isn't it?
It is incredible. It is. I mean, there's very few groups ever that would make that transition in such a short space of time. There's groups who transition over decades, but not over such a short space of time. It is incredible. But I think you're right. I think, Dave, the atmosphere around them at that time must have contributed to them saying, look, it's time to call it a day, being on the road, without a doubt.
Plus, they couldn't reproduce the music they're now creating. You couldn't reproduce that on stage.
No, and we would, not just arguably, we wouldn't have got the stuff post-touring from the Beatles had they continued to tour and tour and tour and tour. They wouldn't have had the time, the energy, the creative space to do it. They just wouldn't have had it, So it is phenomenal. And it's such a key part in Beatles history, isn't it, really? That sort of, that junction of 1966 and the way things went forward from there, and the anniversary coming up of Revolver is a great time to mark that, really.
And a nice sort of almost going full circle, because of course the album cover was designed by Klaus Voormann.
Yes.
Who we were talking about
earlier.
One of Stuart's friends. So again, if Stuart doesn't befriend those three, you don't get that Revolver
you don't get that album cover. Is that your favourite Beatles album cover? I would say before you answer that question, I would say it's the one that I see most of when it comes to things like T-shirts.
Absolutely.
You see that cover more than you do other covers, don't you? Definitely.
You do. It's just a brilliant piece of artwork. And that, again, using an album cover as a work of art. Because, John, Paul and George were all great artists. John went to art college, but Paul was doing art at the Institute. George was always into his art. Stuart, of course, had his influence with the art. But the first album cover of the four of them looking over the balcony.
Yeah.
That's what album covers were. They were pictures of the band.
Pictures of the band. Yeah, pictures of the band. Yeah.
And now, even right all the way through to Rubber Soul, you're still having photos of them.
Yeah.
Bit more arty.
But still photos.
But still photos of them.
Yeah, yeah.
And now, the album cover becomes a work of art in itself.
Yeah.
And every cover from that, you've got Revolver with Transformed, then looking at Sgt. Pepper. I mean, how many people have tried to copy that?
Yeah,
it's a work of art.
It is a piece of artwork, isn't it? And when you look at the likes of Revolver, Sgt. Pepper, Abbey Road, such a, when you think about it, I mean, that's for another time to talk about, isn't it? But Abbey Road, you think, okay, let's go and take a photo.
Yeah, let's walk across the zebra crossing.
And all of a sudden, and you see, I was talking about T-shirts. How many times have you seen the Abbey Road image recreated with all sorts of other things, cats and cows and all sorts of things walking across?
I've seen it with builders and roofers and stuff on vans going around in Liverpool, carrying the ladders over the shoulder.
It is, that's true. Yeah, I've seen that one as well. Yeah, but no, you're right. So the anniversary of Revolver coming up.
What an album.
What an album. Yeah, if you haven't listened to it recently, it is our challenge. Go and listen to it again.
Go and listen to it again.
From beginning to end. Easy to do these days.
That's 60 years ago, but if you listen to the style of the songs on there, you can sort of understand where Britpop came from, really, can't you?
You can. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
And no other band could only release albums for 7 years. That's all it is, 63 to 70.
Yeah.
And every album is different.
Yeah.
Covering just about every genre you can think
of. One of the things I often say to people, I like other bands, I like Queen, I like, the Rolling Stones, people like that, but I would not pretend to know a lot of their stuff other than their singles.
Yeah, the greatest hits.
The greatest hits type thing. Whereas with the Beatles, people know songs that were just on albums and never made it to a single, never made it into a music chart.
Yeah.
But it was on an album.
Yeah.
But people know them. Yeah. People know them, and I don't think there's any other band that could say that. So 60 years of Revolver.
Exactly. So that's why we're still here talking about them.
Yeah.
All these years later.
All these years on.
This is Liddypod, Beatles banter with Bedford and Beesley.
So Dave, this is a new feature we're doing in the podcast, in Liddypod, about other places to go to if you come to Liverpool. Maybe not related to the Beatles, but still just as good to go to. Where would you say? I'll give you the chance today, Dave.
If you've got the interest in the Liverpool that the Beatles were born into, then the Second World War crops up, which is another history passion of mine. And one of our almost like hidden gems is a place called Western Approaches, which was the headquarters of the Battle of the Atlantic. And I love going back there all the time. It's in the city centre. And they've opened up the underground bunkers where the whole command for the Battle of the Atlantic was trying to get all the convoys coming over, particularly from the US and from Canada, coming into Liverpool. Liverpool was getting bombed the hell out of. U-boats were trying to sink the convoys. And you can go into the plotting room with the big map and everywhere. And I just think it's one of those amazing places in Liverpool that people should go and see. Because it invariably on tours, it crops up because the Beatles are born in Liverpool at war. The second most bombed city in Britain after London because of the importance of the docks. So even like when we're growing up, there were still patches where places had been bombed and not built on again. We talked before about, when you're in the summer holidays, you go out and play, you'd be gone for the day, and you play on the bombie.
Yeah.
Not thinking, I'm now going to go and play on a bomb site where a bomb has fallen and destroyed the building.
Yeah.
It was just the bombing.
Yeah.
But you understand the context of Liverpool in the Second World War. That's what the Beatles were born into. And to get the context of the city, you have to understand that part. And the fact that rationing went on to 1954.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So it wasn't like the war's over.
No.
Hooray, everybody go back to work.
Yeah.
The place was destroyed.
And I agree with you totally, Dave. I mean, Western Approaches, as it's called, has been there for a long time, but in recent years, Big Heritage, a company, have taken it over, and they've done a great job on it.
Brilliant.
They really do have a great approach to telling historical stories. And I think the thing about Western Approaches as well, especially to our, the likes of our Canadian and American listeners, a lot of the troops, it was originally supplies and then troops coming across from Canada and America, and they were the ones that were trying to be protected by the escort ships, which were all controlled from Western Approaches. Top secret wartime headquarters. I mean, you go to London and everybody goes to the Churchill war rooms. This is better than because the story is so significant for the outcome of the war. It wasn't a significant story for Liverpool. No. It was a significant story for the whole country. Had, the Battle of the Atlantic been lost, basically Britain would have been starved. You would have been starved into submission. So it was such an important battle. 1.25 million American and Canadian soldiers arrived in the country here in Liverpool, and their safe arrival was due to what happened in Western Approaches. And it's definitely well worth a visit. It's near to the waterfront, just by the parish church. It's open every day. It is a great place to go to. And if you've not been there before, if you're a local and you've not been there before, get along to Western Approaches. It is absolutely fabulous.
It's a hidden gem. So there you go. So tell us what you think of our new feature.
Yes.
And maybe you've got any suggestions of places that you've discovered. If you've been to Liverpool, let us know. But we'll keep featuring different places of other things to do.
So Dave, we've come to the end of this edition of Liddypod. It's been a long one today, but we've got loads to talk about. Next time we meet, it's going to be the 18th of August. We've already got in the diary. We know exactly where we're going to go, and we know why we're going on the 18th of August. Reveal all, Dave.
No. Oh yeah, go on then. All right. 18th of August 1962, when Ringo officially joins the Beatles. He becomes a member of the Fab Four. And it's not at the Cavern, it's not in the famous venues, it's in the middle of a Victorian model village on the Wirral in Port Sunlight in a place called Hume Hall. And that's where we're going to be, recording Liddypod, actually in the building. But the original stage is there, the dance hall's there, everything is still there. And it's just a strange but beautiful place, isn't it?
It is. And do you know what? We'll tell people why I'm going to say this when we get there. But I guarantee wherever you are listening to this Liddypod in the world, if you allow Dave and myself to go through your cupboards at home, I guarantee we'll find at least one product connected to where we're going to go on the 18th of August. We'll reveal why that is the case when we do Liddypod next time. But there is a big question, Dave. Do Hume Hall have breakfast?
They have a cafe.
Thank goodness for that.
Don't you? I checked that first. That's a prerequisite. Forget the Beatles connections. Do they serve food? So don't worry, we're safe.
Brilliant.
We can eat when we get there.
Brilliant. Well, just before we go, let's say thank you again to the Sefton Park Hotel for their hospitality this morning, for a lovely view across the lake. Do come here, whether you're going to stay here or just visit it. It is fabulous to visit. And Dave, we'll be back shortly after the 18th of August.
Indeed.
You've been listening to Liddypod, Beatles banter with Bedford and Beesley.